She's a wellness guru. Please.
Good morning, everyone, and it's my absolute pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you, Ishiji, to be the moderator for this session, and to bring in your valuable knowledge. And thank you, my dear panelists, for sharing all the information that you've shared. And I've left with the most challenging task of concluding this session and talk about the behavioral science that's behind wellness. Can I get the cursor? Before I move on, I wanted to tell you a little bit more about my personal journey and why WellG came into being. I'm a passionate person. I've always been passionate about health and wellness ever since I was 16. At the age of 16, I was the former Reebok fitness brand ambassador, and my life actually began from the very physical realm of things, beauty and fitness. Very soon, as I was 22-year-old, I went to the Shivananda ashram where I learned yoga and really landed up in the realm of spirituality. And I really started pondering on, is wellness only physical? And really, wellness is multifaceted. We cannot really look at wellness just from how many calories we've consumed and how many steps we've taken. Every individual here is far more complex. Every individual here is unique and comes from a unique life experience. So WellG, from the very onset, means life of wellness. And our focus is changing people's lifestyle. Changing people's lifestyle in a manner that is sustainable, that is anchored on the science of behavioral change, the neuroscience of behavioral change. So as I mentioned, very early on, I was exploring questions when I was at the Shivananda ashram. Who am I? What makes me happy? What's my calling in life? And I think it has done great service to me that I was asking those profound questions at that time. And the answer that came back to me was dedicating my life towards health and wellness. And that's why WellG came into being. I've had the experience of working internationally in America with many great organizations, Aetna, which is largest insurance company in the world, Charlotte Maxwell Center for Cancer, UCSF Center for Integrative Medicine. On my return to India, I've also worked with Max hospitals. What I've noticed is disease is far more complex. Individuals are far more complex. So our vision is to facilitate an improved quality of life, health and well-being by sustainable lifestyle behavioral changes. This sounds really complex, and I'm going to break it down into simpler words. A little bit more about WellG. We're also the recipient of the 50 Best Wellness Company Award for Innovation in Healthcare. And this is the reason why I came back from America, because the non-communicable disease epidemic in India is appalling. We are the world's largest diabetes capital, and also 60% of all deaths going forward from heart disease is going to come from India. We're living a highly sedentary lifestyle as well. I hold some prestigious nominations. I'm also the National Wellness Institute committee member involved in spreading wellness globally. I'm also the mentor coach by International Consortium of Health and Wellness Coaches, where my job is to mentor others in the profession of health and wellness. So let me ask you guys a question. What do you think determines your health? Any answers? What really determines your health? Is it your genes? Is it environment? Any other answers? Yes, please. Right. So thank you so much for sharing that. So what determines our health is there are many different things, like you mentioned, and all of them are intertwined and integrated with each other. Medical care, if you look at research that's been done on this space, says that 10% comes from medical care, 16% from our genetic composition, our hereditary, that comes from our lineage, from our parents, our grandparents, our environment, the environment that we live in, but most importantly, appallingly, it's our lifestyle. when we talk about lifestyle, we're not only talking about nutrition, but we're talking about mental well-being, emotional well-being, relational well-being, spiritual well-being, our ability to have a great mindset towards stress, our ability to have a great quality of life, our ability to have great relationships in our life. So our lifestyle really affects our health. So this brings me to the neuroscience of behavioral change. And when we talk about lifestyle and behavioral sciences, it's very easy to tell someone, you need to exercise, you need to eat healthy food. But it's far more difficult to implement that in your life. Telling people what to do does not really work. People only make changes when they're inspired to make changes. People only make changes when they're motivated. No matter how much you tell somebody to do whatever they should be doing, they'll do it only when they want to do it. And therein comes the science of neuroscience, of behavioral change. Let me tell you a little more. Our brain is made of billions and millions of neurons. We know that, right? These neurons are communicating with each other. These neurons are connected with something called dendrites, right? The connection between neurons and dendrites allows the communication between these neurons. Now, every time we have a new behavior, these dendrites are formed, right? The number of times we continue to doing the same behavior, the same habit, for example, eating healthier foods, we keep doing that, these connections become stronger. And research says that the same habit has to be repeated 10,000 times before it kind of formulates towards being a sustainable lifestyle habit. Therefore, it takes about an average 3 months, 90 days for somebody to make a small lifestyle change. And it takes about a year for that habit to become a sustainable habit. This is an interesting example. If you look at your own life, you have particular habits, right? You'll wake up at a particular time, you eat a particular way, you live a particular way, you manage your relationship in a particular way. There's a way you think and you operate. If you look at a conventional approach, if you look at the diagram on the left-hand side, where we have Mr. Simpson's here, what really happens? Usually, for our behavior, there is a trigger, right? Trigger is, maybe I've had a long day at work, I want to sit on my couch, and I'm craving for a glass of beer. Or this is my time that I open a packet of chips and I want to eat it. This is a pattern that I do over and over and over. There are patterns, if you look at your life, that you formulated in the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Am I right? Right? Everything around you has been cultivated ever since you were a little baby. Now I have this trigger. I've come back from work and I'm really tired. I'm sitting on the couch and I have this trigger that this is my time to snack. Okay? Now, this is my routine. Now, when I pick up that snack and actually eat a chip, it's a reward for me, right? Now that I've eaten this one chip, it leads to more craving because I'm not going to be satisfied with one chip. Have you ever had one chip or one cookie? Very difficult, right? Now, when you've had the second chip, you'll probably land up having the entire packet of chips, right? At least half of it, maybe 15, maybe 20. So this sends a message in my brain that I'm hungry, and the cycle keeps continuing, right? Now, if I were to change my behavior, if I have heightened levels of awareness around my own activities, or have a deeper level of connection with myself, now, unlike the other example that I gave, you come back home, you sit on the couch, you think about this packet of chips, but you tell your brain, because you're aware and you want to make a change, you said, you know what, I'm going to replace that with something healthy. You go out and reach out for something that's more healthy, more complex. You pick up a healthier food product. You're still being rewarded, but you've now shifted the communication in your brain. It's shifting. It was used to doing A, is now doing B, right? Now when you're still getting rewarded, because now you feel you've eaten something that's healthy, you feel accomplished, you now want to eat more, you eat that more, and this routine needs to keep continuing. When this pattern keeps continuing over and over and over and over and over and over 10,000 times over the next 90 days, over the next 1 year, you formulated a lifestyle. And this is the key. That is why behavioral science is very important. 70 to 80% of all lifestyle diseases today are stemming out of poor lifestyles. Poor people are becoming marginally more poor because they're not educated on lifestyle. They're under debt. They cannot afford hospital care. The rich are becoming highly stressed, malnourished, in spite of abundance of food, like our panelists have been talking about. But change, making a change, is it really easy? If I tell you to now shift that pattern that you saw Mr. Simpson do that momentarily in the last slide, how easy is it for me to change my habit? Is it easy? Yes? No? It's difficult, right? So how can we think that if we tell somebody what to do, they're going to change right away? Therefore, Prochaska's trans-theoretical model of change says that at least about 5 steps to change. The first step is pre-contemplation. Most of the time, these are people who think they don't need to change. Have you seen people around your life, your spouses, your boyfriends, your girlfriends, your father, your mother, you keep telling them, आप ये क्यों नहीं करते हो? आप exercise क्यों नहीं करते हो? आप अच्छा खाते क्यों नहीं हो? आप stress क्यों लेते हो? आप smoking क्यों नहीं छोड़ देते हो? But they've been used to doing that. They're likely pre-contemplators because they think the problem is not with me. I don't need to change. These people usually take about 6 to 1 year before they start making any kind of change. The next stage is called contemplation. That means I'm contemplating. Maybe I can think about this, right? Now, the chances of these people actually making a change is a little more than pre-contemplation. These people, likely within the next 3 to 6 months, are likely to start making some sort of a lifestyle change. The next stage is preparation, right? These people say, okay, I know I have to make a change. I think this is the need of the hour. Now, how do I really go about it? They're starting to think, they're starting to plan. Have you ever thought about starting to go and start a workout? Do you do planning? Right? So these people are people who start planning and then they get into the action phase. They actually get to the gym, they actually start changing their lifestyle, they start looking at their relationships, they start exploring happiness and every aspect of their life. And they start getting into the action phase and they keep doing it in a routine over and over and over again. At some point, they're going to reach a stage of maintenance. Just because they have accomplished this 1 year of sustainable change does not mean they're going to be okay. People can quit smoking for a year and still relapse, right? So it's very important, the maintenance phase. So it's very important as we coach people for lifestyle diseases that we're able to map them across these stages. So far, in the last few decades, when we've looked at nutrition, we've been looking at nutrition mostly from weight. आप जब भी किसी को मिलते हैं, सबसे पहला चीज़ क्या नोटिस करते हैं वो आप में? आप मोटे हो गए हो, आप तो पतले हो गए हो, करेक्ट? होता है? ठीक है ना? So most important thing, one of the first thing we notice is how is that person looking in terms of appearance, right? Has he lost or gained weight? And our approach has also been weight-centric. And I think time has changed. We need to change our approach. Instead of focusing so much about weight, we need to be focused on health and well-being. Weight, when we constantly think about weight and calories, we're thinking about I need to diet, I need to deprive myself. And life is not about deprivation. Life is about enjoying the abundance that is around you in moderation, right? So when we look at a weight-centric or a typical biomedical model, we are looking at an individual from a unidimensional way. We're only looking at the physical dimension, right? In our society right now, we have too many specialists, cardiologists, oncologists. We have too many specialists. What the need of the hour is we need more generalists, people who can coach people on day-to-day lifestyle habit change. The conventional approach is to prescribe and treat, right? We usually give a prescription, say somebody just had a heart attack, right? They go through a surgery and the doctor tells them, you need to change your lifestyle, right? They'll tell you to start eating better, start walking. But just telling them and prescribing them, it's very, very hard for them to actually go ahead and implementing that. On the contrary, when we look at the health-centered approach is a more integrative approach. When we're talking about nutrition, we're not just looking at carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, but we're looking at nutrition from an integrative mindset. We're looking at the mind, body, spirit. What is my mindset towards food? What is my relationship with food? What does food really mean for me? Does food give me joy? Do I eat when I'm stressed? Do I eat when I'm happy? Am I living an isolated life? Do I have a larger vision, purpose in life? I've coached a lot of people. In fact, one of the recent women I coached, the reason she said in the coaching session that she was overweight and she was struggling with this for so many years is because she said something so profound. She said, you know, I am today not the woman I wanted to be. My image of the woman that I wanted to be is very different than the life that I'm living. That was an awakening moment. She realized her relationship with food was a source of an ally for her. She was depending on food to fill this void, right? So people use food for many different reasons. So we cannot just look at it as simply at carbs, fats, and proteins. What's also interesting is that the prescribe and treat model needs to replace with motivating and co-creating the plan with the client. When I mean co-creating, I mean that the client is in charge and is in charge of their life. Our job as wellness coaches is to train the client, to empower the client to become the best versions of themselves. How do we motivate them? How do we educate them? How do we help them to find their own resources? How do we help them to overcome their own obstacles and really create a life vision towards healthy lifestyle? Research says 95% of everybody who diets fails. How many people have you seen around yourself? They will lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, yes? Right? And dieting, this kind of industry has led to a bias towards revenue generation. There are a lot of quick fixes in the market, lose 5 kgs in a month. Have you seen those text messages coming on 5 kgs in a month, 10 inches, 2 inches in a month? Really, that's not realistic. It has to be highly personalized. So what's really needed, I'll have 2 more slides. What's really needed is authentic selling, right? And what's even more powerful is having presence of mind and being mindful of what you're eating and really enjoying, relishing your food. This is my second last slide. So what is the new healthcare pyramid? What is it going to really look like? Let's look at this pyramid. When you look at the top of the pyramid, it says 5% of all our healthcare crises as it relates to non-communicable diseases, whether it is diabetes, cancer, hypertension, will be addressed at the hospital where people need acute care and hospitalization, right? The next 25% of people are those people who fairly kind of have these issues but don't need hospitalization but need specialized care. The bottom of the pyramid is where the maximum number of our population exists, right? This is 70 to 80% of our population. People like you and I, we have life challenges. We want to make changes so that we don't become sick or have an early onset of disease. Now, this 70% of people can be addressed by a trained health and wellness coach. Who is a health and wellness coach? Now, a health and wellness coach is somebody who's trained on the science of behavioral change, on the neuroscience of behavioral change. This is somebody who understands coaching psychology. This is somebody who understands cognitive behavior. This is somebody who understands other learning theories. This is somebody who understands what is motivation. How do we really help people from making changes in a scientific evidence manner? These are people who are trained on the science of nutrition, exercise, stress from a holistic perspective when we're looking at food, relationship, mind, body, play, spirituality. Therefore, This, my dear friends, is really the key to a healthy lifestyle. So a health and wellness coach navigates people from a sick care mechanism to wellness. So when I say that, when somebody is falling sick, the first thing that they see is signs of illness. The second thing that they see is symptoms. And then they see some sort of a disability. Then there's early onset of death, right? When we move people from the illness to the wellness continuum, what coaches are really doing is creating a deeper level of awareness. If you're overweight, why are you overweight? Right? What is your relationship with food? What is the root cause of why you have diabetes or hypertension? When we have this heightened level of awareness, we educate the client, we facilitate a mindset growth. A growth mindset, right? When a person is in a growth mindset, they see an opportunity to change, and they're coached and they're handheld in the process of change. This leads, my dear friend, this leads to a higher level of awareness. This was actually created by somebody called John Travis, who's a leading author and a wellness specialist. So I hope I've made my point. Behavior is complex, but it's not that we cannot change our behavior. We just need assistance. We need wellness coaches, and wellness coaches packed with power of behavioral change can really make a huge impact in controlling and management of lifestyle diseases and helping people to lead an improved quality of life and overall wellness. Here is where you can reach me. Thank you so much for listening to me patiently with all this noise in the background. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Preeti.